What if the most important warnings for humanity's survival were hidden, buried deep in the desert for 2,000 years? Sealed inside fragile scrolls and hidden within forgotten caves, ancient voices cry out with prophecies few have dared to reveal. The Dead Sea Scrolls are not just historical relics. They hold chilling messages of destruction, judgment, and a future that may already be unfolding. Lost for centuries, ignored by many, but their words still echo, waiting for those willing to listen. If you seek the truth buried beneath the sands of time, subscribe and join us on this journey into forgotten prophecy. In the barren, lifeless deserts near the Dead Sea, a secret slept undisturbed for nearly 2,000 years. Hidden in caves carved into jagged cliffs, fragile scrolls were sealed inside clay jars, left behind by a people fleeing war, betrayal, and destruction. They were not ordinary texts. These scrolls carried forbidden knowledge, visions of the final battles between light and darkness, revelations of a coming judgment, and dire warnings for a future generation. It was as if the writers knew their world was collapsing, and that one day, distant descendants would need their voices more than ever. The Dead Sea Scrolls were more than historical artifacts. They were a message buried in time, waiting for the right moment or the right calamity to be uncovered, a message the world would struggle to accept once it finally surfaced. It was 1947. A young Bedouin shepherd, searching for a stray goat, hurled a stone into a cave along the cliffs near Qumran. The sound he heard was not the dull thud of rock on sand, but the sharp crack of pottery breaking. Inside that cave, sealed away in clay jars, lay some of the oldest and most forbidden texts in human history, the Dead Sea Scrolls. What began as an accident quickly spiraled into one of the most contested discoveries of the modern age. Religious authorities, governments, archaeologists, all rushed to seize and control the scrolls, each recognizing the explosive implications of what had been unearthed. These texts spoke of apocalyptic wars, fallen priests, secret knowledge, and a hidden timeline of events that paralleled, and sometimes contradicted, the sacred histories known to the world. But not all scrolls were made public. Many were hidden again, this time behind locked vaults, secret academic circles, and classified files. And the question still lingers. What was so dangerous within these ancient warnings that they had to be silenced once more? Hidden among the ancient scrolls were texts unlike anything the world had expected. Beyond the laws, beyond the rituals, there were warnings, chilling visions of a final war between the sons of light and the sons of darkness. One scroll spoke of an ultimate confrontation, where deceit and violence would cover the earth, and only a remnant would survive. Another described a corrupted priesthood leading nations into ruin, ushering in an era of chaos and bloodshed. These were not symbolic tales. They were detailed, strategic descriptions, battle plans, timelines, even lists of enemy tribes, as if preparing future generations for a catastrophe yet to come. The apocalyptic writings of Qumran mirror, and sometimes intensify, the prophecies later recorded in the Book of Revelation. But why were they hidden? Why were such urgent warnings concealed within caves, left to decay while the world marched unknowingly toward its fate? Perhaps it was not fear of discovery. Perhaps it was a desperate attempt to preserve the truth for a time when it would matter most. And that time may have already begun. The warnings hidden within the Dead Sea Scrolls are not isolated prophecies. They echo, and in some cases precede, the terrifying visions recorded in the Book of Revelation. Among the fragile scrolls, descriptions emerge of cosmic battles, cataclysmic upheavals, and the rise of false leaders who would deceive nations. There are mentions of a final priest of wickedness, mirroring the figure known later as the Antichrist. References to heavenly armies assembling against forces of darkness, and chilling details about a judgment so severe that even the righteous would tremble. But not all of these texts were made public. Portions of the scrolls remain untranslated, hidden away, or only accessible to a select few. Scholars whisper about documents too dangerous to release, writings that spoke of timelines, names, and signs unmistakably tied to modern events. If these suppressed prophecies are accurate, it would mean that the final chapters of human history are not only known, they are already being fulfilled. And the greatest deception may be the belief that the end is still far away. The warnings sealed inside the caves of Qumran were not meant for the past. They were meant for a future generation, one living through an age of unrest, division, and looming catastrophe. Today, We watch as wars ignite across the world, as moral decay spreads like a plague, and as nations fracture under the weight of their own corruption. Natural disasters strike with growing ferocity. New technologies promise salvation, while eroding the very fabric of freedom and truth. The patterns described in the ancient scrolls, a world spiraling toward a climactic reckoning, are no longer distant threats. They are headlines. The sons of light and the sons of darkness are no longer hidden. They march openly, battling not only on distant battlefields, but within every nation, every community, every heart. Perhaps the scrolls were hidden because humanity was not ready to hear the truth. Perhaps we still aren't. But the signs are no longer buried beneath the desert. They are rising all around us. The question is no longer if the warnings were real. The question is, are we too late to change the ending?